listening to a download from the outdoorstation.co.uk.
Number 376.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to this special extended podcast here on the Outdoor Station. As many of you know, we have a diverse range of interests here, as there are numerous activities associated with self-powered travel, which naturally cross over, no matter your method of travelling. Regular listeners may know, for example, that I have a passing interest in spoon carving, although I'm not sure where that came from. Maybe the seed was sown many years ago when camping in the woods as a teenager. Maybe it was the subsequent wilderness gatherings in recent years when we've attended with our shop Backpacking Light. Or maybe it was my family who have been gently nudging me in that direction with various knife-related Christmas and birthday gifts. Either way, during the last weekend of July 2014, I somehow found myself at Spoonfest in a field in Edale in the Peak District, Derbyshire. It was an eclectic gathering of like-minded souls who have a passion for all things wood spoon related. Edale is probably more associated with the mass trespass of April 1932, which became widely credited to leading to the establishment of the National Parks Association in 1949, along with many long-distance footpaths such as the Pennine Way. So could history repeat itself, I wonder, and Edale become famous once more for lighting the fire of yet another revolution? But first things first. Spoonfest. Why would anyone, let alone a few hundred people of all ages, be interested in making such a simple wooden spoon?
I get to make spoons that people use to make food for people they love. And I feel that's really beautiful. And there's something about knowing that the spoon you make will be somebody's favourite spoon. And they grab it first every time they make something. And that's beautiful. We all put a lot of love into our food. And I feel it's quite nice to be part of that.
And what possible benefits would there be to me or any others in taking up such a craft?
Well, it's a very relaxing thing to do. It's almost like a meditation, I suppose. You sit down and time disappears while you're doing it. So it's a way of really putting all your thoughts aside and all the worries of the day aside and just doing that one very simple thing.
Now come on, surely you need to be nuts to do this. A close friend laughed hysterically when I told her what I was intending to do that particular weekend. Was I mad, she said.
I looked it up on the web and I thought it was still pretty unbelievable that people will sit around in a paddock for 3 days carving wooden spoons. That is the most insane thing you can do, which sounded really appropriate to do when I came to the UK. So, in fact, I've been here for 6 days. It's the last day and I've only still got my first spoon in my hand, and hopefully it'll be finished by the end of the day. The only thing I've finished here is a gnome. Which I learnt while I sat by the fire yesterday.
In between her hysterics, she also suggested that I would be surrounded by obsessives, people with a compulsive wooden spoon disorder.
I got into a very strange place where if I didn't carve a spoon every day, my fingers actually itched. It was a bit weird. But thankfully, I'm out of the worst of my addiction and I've got it under control now. So,
but you're back again for
But I'm back again to Spoonfest. It's like rehab in a kind of a way. Yeah.
But no, I think my friend, and many like her, are missing the point. The deeper you dig when you look into this craft, the more there is to find, to learn, to absorb. For once, it isn't about urgency, about speed, technology or gear. It's more about you, the person.
It's actually quite an inner process, I think. Even though you're doing something external, there's a reflection of your relationship to yourself. You know, are you going to judge yourself? How quickly do you let go of mistakes? Can you turn mistakes to your advantage? Can it become something creative, and then the spoon goes off in a different direction from what you expected? So there's a lot of life skills that you learn from doing something, intensely. Anything, actually, but this is a really good example. And then translating that back into your life, because, we have such busy lives, we forget to pause. If you manage to do that as a self-discipline in your life, it'll change your life, because you have breaks in all the busy maniac kind of life that we lead, and it gives a chance for a different kind of rhythm, a more natural rhythm to come back into your life. You feel more connected to yourself, you feel more connected to life, you let go of stuff. I mean, it's a very contemplative thing, whittling, making a spoon, and I think there's a lot of people here who experience that, who know about that, have discovered that, and it's a real gift that everyone sort of relates to that side of it. We're not just making spoons.
There are a lot of activities which have some things in common, and they're simple but they're not easy. And you look at a spoon and you think basically it's a bit of wood, it's like a stick one end and a hollow the other end. Once you start getting into spoon carving, it's a fantastic sort of mini exercise in three-dimensional design. It's almost like a micro sculpture. You want to make it look beautiful, but the fundamental thing's got to work. And getting those two things in a small object, which you can then take home and use, it's a fantastic thing to do. And I think it's really empowering to make your own spoon, to make a spoon to eat with or to cook with, just using some basic tools, knives and axes and that sort of thing.
Looking around that first night, it was obvious I was in the company of several hundred people who had a deep love and affection for this craft. That, maybe, the process of creating a spoon should be considered as more of a conduit, connecting all those who undertake it to nature, our natural surroundings, and a deeper love and appreciation of it all as a result.
It works on so many different levels. That's the thing with spoons. So for starters, there's the link to wood. Everyone loves wood as a material. We're using axes and knives to do the carving, so it's quite a specific style, and people really connect with that style of woodwork. So spoons are just a great vehicle for that, and you're making something that's beautiful and functional. Everyone has got a wooden spoon already, so and people bond with wooden spoons anyway, just because they use it every day. So it's incredible the number of people that I've taught that seem to just get really hooked on it. Yeah. It's not the kind of thing someone tries and puts down, really.
Nothing's going on here. The way we traditionally open Spoonfest by splitting a billet, it's normally like a small straight-grained little billet. But there wasn't one out there that we could get just quickly, so we're going to struggle with this. But that's how we'll open Spoonfest. Right, silence please, while we just spend a moment to consider all the bits of wood that are not yet spoons. Seriously? Seriously, I can be here all night. I'm not joking. I'm genuinely not joking. Get on with it! Use a bigger one. You ready? Yeah. Here we go. Boom.
You're listening to theoutdoorstation.co.uk. Award-winning producers of podcasts to inform, inspire and entertain lovers of the great outdoors everywhere.
So yes, Spoonfest 2014 was open, and for the next 3 days I then proceeded to attempt to make wooden spoons, scoops, cups and butter knives, taking the raw material from the wood pile at the back of the marquee and then working, listening, absorbing and becoming totally focused, and I do mean totally focused, on what I was trying to create in the palm of my hand. In doing so, I listened to those around me, joined in with many conversations, and found common ground in frustration and success when trying to create something when this beautiful natural material would allow me to do so. I wanted to find out what drew people to this craft, what made it so unique for them, and what rewards they personally gained from their relationship with the humble wooden spoon. Maybe, after listening to this, you'll be equally absorbed by the potential, entertainment and fulfilment spoon carving has to offer us all. Of course, there'll be links, images and more information over on the Outdoor Station website and at the end of this podcast. An obscure, one could possibly say, underground event like this draws people from all over the world. It isn't intended to be a secret, and there are many who know where to look. However, if it's the first time you've heard about it, the concept can be a little hard to get your head around. After all, what kind of people do this?
Hi, I'm Leslie from Brisbane, Australia.
Okay, so what are you doing all the way over here carving spoons, Leslie?
Well, I started carving with a teacher last year in Australia, and just carving bowls, and we're doing seasoned wood, and he just does such beautiful forms, and I thought I'd like to learn from this guy. And when I told him I was coming to the UK en route to Ghana, he said, well, if you're in the UK in August, you have to go to Spoonfest. And I said, what? So I looked it up on the web, and I thought it was still pretty unbelievable that people will sit around in a paddock for 3 days carving wooden spoons. That is the most insane thing you can do, which sounded really appropriate to do when I came to the UK. So, in fact, I've been here for 6 days. It's the last day, and I've only still got my first spoon in my hand, and hopefully it'll be finished by the end of the day. The only thing I've finished here is a gnome, which I learnt while I sat by the fire yesterday.
Sorry, I cut you up there.
That's it. Yeah. And that's how I got here.
So, I mean, as you say, it seems a mad exercise to sit here for a few days and just hack away at wood.
Yeah.
Have you enjoyed yourself?
Oh, I've had a lovely time.
Yeah?
Yeah. And of course, I got here, I thought, oh, well, I'll do the pre-fest, and then I won't stay for the Spoonfest, because anyone who'd sit around for 3 days in a paddock carving spoon must be a bit odd, and I don't know that I want to be in an odd group like that. I'm still here. Probably just proved that I'm a bit odd as well. I don't know. My friends certainly think so.
Is this something that many people do over in Oz?
Yeah, it'll be over.
I've no idea. I had no idea the mad world of spoon carving existed, apart from the guy that I've learned carving from, who's a furniture maker and does a lot of bowl carving. And yeah, he's getting into it, but I don't think there's a big tradition of green wood carving in Australia. But I don't know, because I'm absolutely a novice at all of this.
So you're going to go back and sort of research it and get involved and get other people excited?
He's actually planning to do a Spoonfest in October in Brisbane. And of course, probably I can't get to it because I've already got that weekend booked for something else. So, I mean, that would be the irony, wouldn't it? Come all the way to the UK and then not be able to do the one in my own backyard. But it will be a first in Australia if it gets off. And I'm going to have a yak to the people here about it. I've been taking photos and everything to see how it's all done.
So what have you gained yourself about working with wood and obviously carving your own spoon? What has it done for you personally?
Oh, look, I just love the diversity of people I've met here and the conversations, we've had around the fire or just standing in the tent at night. I had no idea that there was so much form involved in the spoon, and I think the wonderful thing is just in the spoon alone you can get all sorts of design issues and form and carving, so you can learn pretty much all of it, probably for green, apart from turning, just by doing one form and getting better and better at it. And I've been absolutely blown away by the exhibitions up in the gallery and the diversity there. So it's the people, it's the form. Hey, it's got it all. And pretty wacko as well.
The term woodworkers covers a massive range of skills and disciplines in the outdoors. From green woodworking to practical land management skills, the scope is vast. So it should be no surprise that interest in this pastime is growing, as many of those within these careers see additional benefit in having this skill within their outdoor portfolio.
My name's Chris Long. I'm from southwest London, and I work as a tree surgeon. I've been doing a bit of spoon carving for the last 7 or 8 months, and I was looking around online at videos and things and found some mentions of Spoonfest, and I thought that sounds absolutely crazy, so I thought I'd come along and try it out.
And is it as crazy as you anticipated?
Yes. It's in a good way. People's enthusiasm and willingness to share knowledge of what they do, and everyone's love of just turning an ordinary, commonplace piece of wood into a beautiful, sort of curvaceous spoon. So.
When I've mentioned it to a few people, the reaction that they've had has been very similar. They can't believe that people would sit in a field together and do this sort of activity or have this sort of hobby. But there's quite a wide range, diverse range of people here, isn't there?
Yes, it seems to be. People who, that's their job really, is woodwork. There seems to be a lot of woodworkers, but also people from all sorts of different backgrounds. So yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And what does the relationship with the spoon mean to you? What have you sort of learned about the art or yourself or the technique since you've been here?
Well, it's a very relaxing thing to do. It's almost like a meditation, I suppose. You sit down and time disappears while you're doing it. You have to be right there, because otherwise you end up cutting yourself, or the spoon goes wrong. So it's a way of really putting all your thoughts aside and all the worries of the day aside, and just doing that one very simple thing. The spoons that you get out, seeing yourself improve, and you look at a spoon you did a few weeks ago and it looks terrible, and then the one that you're doing now is much better, and then in 2 weeks' time I expect that one will look terrible, and hopefully the one you're doing will be that much better. So that improvement's very encouraging and fun, and it's nice that I can do my job, get some wood, make a spoon and give it to the client as a bit of a freebie afterwards. It's quite a fun thing to do.
The appeal of this gathering grabs different people in different ways. Some are obsessive, some are compulsive, some are just trying to find something they're good at. And for some, there is the yearning to understand the material more, the grain, the characteristics, the flow of the fibres, the natural colours, as they proceed to set the spoon free from the raw material. Once it is complete, there's even more appeal in giving the final practical and graceful gifts to people they love.
My name is Karen Mitchell. I am from Kendal in Cumbria.
And this is not your first time at Spoonfest?
No. I came for the first time last year, and it was fab, so I came back for another go.
So what appeals to you about the festival itself, the gathering, as well as actually spoon carving?
Oh, gosh. The gathering, I just really love it because it's fine to do nothing but make spoons and talk about spoons and sing about spoons and play with spoons. So that's a bit obsessive, but it's all okay here because everybody's in the same place. And what I love about making them is just that process of starting with a piece of wood and then discovering it's got stripes and grains and natural shapes, and trying to kind of almost have a fight with it, but in a kindly way, to turn it into something useful, and then to give those away to friends who may or may not like them.
You said you got a bit obsessive last year. Did you really get into it?
I did. I got into a very strange place where if I didn't carve a spoon every day, my fingers actually itched. It was a bit weird. But thankfully I'm out of the worst of my addiction and I've got it under control now. So,
but you're back again for more.
I'm back again to Spoonfest. It's like rehab in a kind of a way. Yeah.
And the courses that have been running, what have you found the most interesting and varied?
I haven't done a huge number of courses. I had a go at the engraving, which was quite helpful, and I'll try that again. It was just really, really detailed work, and I realised that I need to go to Specsavers because my eyesight isn't what it was. But that needs a lot of practice, and it's the kind of thing you do at the end of the spoon, and I think I'd be quite nervous of mucking up my work. I had a go with a very strange tool called a tuka cam. I did a workshop on that, and the tuka cam is a particular kind of hook knife which is very big and has a really long handle, and it was all about technique and leverage, and I found that quite challenging. And I did some axe work, which was helpful, and that's about all I've done.
Oh. And do you think is this something that you would have liked to have got absorbed in when you were, a teenager, much younger, sort of thing?
Oh God, totally. I really envy the kids here. Actually, it's great to see young people getting confidence with a knife and with an axe at an early age. And I think when they're kind of my age, they'll be making the most amazing things. So yeah, I kind of wish I'd got into it then.
It's good to see so many families here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's lovely actually. It's a really nice atmosphere, and the parents I've spoken to have said they feel so comfortable about their kids just sort of running wild, and everybody will look out for them, and it feels really safe even though there's loads and loads of sharp implements around, which is a bit contradictory.
It can be a solitary life, spoon carving. In fact, any craft which absorbs your complete attention. Spending hours and days in concentration and working with your chosen material in quiet solitude. Therefore, when you're invited to be an instructor at an event like this, it must almost be a relief to find there are others, so many others, equally as reclusive as yourself.
My name's Martin Hazel, and currently live in Epsom in Surrey.
You've come to the festival as a teacher, instructor, lecturer. How have you found it from your point of view?
It's fantastic. I mean, you're with like-minded people, and much of the year you spend thinking of yourself as an eccentric and an oddity. But here, loving making wooden spoons is normal, So it's just like coming home.
Okay, and what about the actual people themselves? There's been quite a diverse range of people, isn't there?
Yes, all sorts here. There's there's typically people like me, in my mid-50s. But there are lots of young people here. There are families here. One of the things about spoon carving is that it's really accessible to people of all ages. There are lots of younger people doing it, young men, young women. It's great, and there's a real mixture. And if I can touch on a thing, it's not just white people who carve spoons. I think it's great to see people from other countries here, the people from a variety of ethnic groups. I know it's a terrible thing to say in a sense, but I think it's good. I think it's good to see that. It's not just a white middle class old duffer like me.
Activity, yeah. And it's a great sharing. I mean, there's a very big willingness from everybody to share skills, isn't there?
Yeah, very much so. And I mean, you've got the sort of formal classes, but if you can't get on one of those, I mean, by and large, go up to a teacher you like and ask him some stuff, or him or her some stuff, and you'll get the essence probably for now, And I think we like that. Speaking as one of the teachers, that's great to be able to just share stuff, and you can go around during the festival watching the classes taking place. You're watching people carving spoons. You get an awful lot from that. I mean, where we're sat now is close to a tent with the spoon chair in it, which is not, as you might think, an execution device. It's actually a big giant chair where people sit and carve a spoon, and you just sit and watch them, and you learn a lot, I think, from watching people doing something.
What would you say to people that when you mentioned an activity like this, who consider a spoon to be a spoon and they get it from the supermarket? How would you explain to them what's involved and what you can get from this type of craft?
I think it's something spoon making and basket making. I'm a basket maker by trade, I should say. So there are a lot of activities which have some things in common, and they're simple but they're not easy. And you look at a spoon and you think basically it's a bit of wood. It's like a stick one end and a hollow the other end. Once you start getting into spoon carving, it's a fantastic sort of mini exercise in three-dimensional design. It's almost like a micro sculpture. You want to make it look beautiful, but the fundamental thing's got to work. And getting those two things in a small object, which you can then take home and use, it's a fantastic thing to do. And I think it's really empowering to make your own spoon, to make a spoon to eat with or to cook with. Just using some basic tools, knives and axes and that sort of thing. That's really, really empowering. It's almost kind of radical to do that, because we're so used to, if we want something, we go to the shop and buy it. Well, here you are, with a few tools you can make some of the things you need, or at least one of the things you need for yourself or to give away as gifts to people. And I think there's something special about making something for yourself to use.
And what have you gained yourself from an event like this, when you've got 300 people, like-minded people, all sharing as well as from a teaching point of view, but also from a social point of view?
I mean, it's, in terms of sort of socialising, it's great. It's there's a party atmosphere if you wanted at night. There's big fires and pizza oven and stuff, and lots of kind of gathering and music and crazy chat till whatever hour you want, so there's plenty of a really nice social atmosphere, very relaxed social atmosphere, not kind of mad heavy drinking lunacy or anything. It's a really nice atmosphere, and it's it's got a real feeling of, if I can use the word, love about it. People care about each other, and I think they demonstrate it here.
Certainly with the families and children running around, there's certainly a great atmosphere of safety. And the other thing I quite like is the fact that it's such a low impact event as well. Within 48 hours it'll all be gone, literally, and there'll just be this pizza oven to move, I presume. Yeah,
that's right. I mean, I'll hang on and help the tidy up, but actually that's not a massive thing, because people have been really good with litter. There's a whole recycling set up here. The other thing which is really interesting about the site of the festival, you think of Edale as being in the middle of nowhere, which it is. I mean, and that I see that as a positive thing, but because it's next to the railway line that runs from Manchester to Sheffield, so you don't have to have a car to get here. You could get her on the train. Some people have cycled here. People have sort of shared cars, cadged lifts, all sorts of stuff. So it is a real low impact festival. And I mean, I've been here 7 days, and I mean, 7 days ago you wouldn't have known it was here. It was just a playing field, and by Tuesday it'll just be a playing field again, and kids will be out playing football on it. And from that point of view, it's really well thought through.
Getting teenagers and youngsters away from the PC or games console and trying to encourage them to do something as skillful and practical as this, which obviously requires an investment of time, is going to be a bit of a challenge. However, there were many families present, with children of all ages, all of whom felt very relaxed and comfortable in an environment where many razor-sharp implements were never more than arm's reach away. It was great to see the children themselves getting involved, and willingly too, probably more so because it was such a low-pressure, fun atmosphere.
I'm Richard Rudd, I'm from Devon, South Devon. Come up here with Magnus, my 13-year-old son, and some other friends from Devon. We came last year and absolutely loved it, and so we come again.
What's the impression your son is giving you from the event? Because that's more interesting, getting young people involved in this.
Yeah, it is. I mean, for his age, he's learning some skills, and he's kind of free range here, so it's very easy for me as well. I get a break. Everyone gets a break. He gets a break, and I just see him sort of absorbing the ethos of people's wisdom. And there's certain people, like all of us, there's certain teachers he seems very drawn to, and certain styles that he's interested in. He's not really mastered the art of making a spoon yet, but he's made attempts at spoons, and he's carrying on. He's just learning, basically. He's learning about all kinds of things.
And presumably, obviously, we're talking about some very sharp implements here. From your point of view, you're feeling confident that he's growing in confidence to use sharp knives?
Yeah, I think he's had very good teachers here and very good training, and they're all completely steeped in safety first. So, especially where children are concerned. And he's learned that from me anyway, how to hold a knife and always put it in its sheath and those basic things. So, yeah, I don't have any issues about that with him.
And what about yourself? What have you got from the show?
I think every time I come here, I sort of, apart from it being a complete break from family life, which it is, and no responsibilities, or very few, it's just an immersion in this sort of spirit of working with wood. And anyone that loves working with wood, carving a spoon is really a symbol of, a process of working with a blade and wood of some form, and to come up with something at the end. So I have made a few little breakthroughs. You learn from your mistakes. I've had a few duds, and you have to let go of those and move on, and you just absorb all the expertise that's around here. And it's not just the teachers, it's all the people that have come. They're amazing, and you meet amazing people and hear stories, and everyone's got the same sort of enthusiasm, so that it's like being at home, really.
I'm at the novice stage, and I'm getting frustrated on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But it's good to watch people who have got more expertise, like yourself there. You've done a nice job on that spoon, and learn that everybody has the same frustrations and started with the same frustrations, and it's not a 5-minute process, is it?
No, not at all. It's actually quite an inner process, I think. Even though you're doing something external, there's a reflection of your relationship to yourself. You know, are you going to judge yourself? How quickly do you let go of mistakes? Can you turn mistakes to your advantage? Can it become something creative, and then the spoon goes off in a different direction from what you expected? So there's a lot of life skills that you learn from doing something, intensely. Anything, actually, but this is a really good example because it's something you can do. You can make a spoon in a day. If you're good, you can make a spoon in an hour, but you can certainly make a spoon in a day. Even a novice can learn with the right skills. So you can learn a huge amount about yourself in the process of making something as simple as a spoon.
I suppose, though, in all reality, actually finding a day, creating a day, creating that space is also an important part of the process in our busy lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And then translating that back into your life, because, we have such busy lives, we forget to pause. And one of the most important things is to pause, and it might be you pause for a couple of hours from doing something that you're normally doing or you have to do, and you give yourself that time to go and whittle away in your shed or something, or you make a spoon. And if you manage to do that as a self-discipline in your life, it'll change your life, because you stop, you have breaks in all the busy maniac kind of life that we lead. And it gives a chance for a different kind of rhythm, a more natural rhythm to come back into your life. You feel more connected to yourself, you feel more connected to life. You let go of stuff. It's a very contemplative thing, whittling, making a spoon. Anything that requires focus and concentration through the body enables the mind to kind of let go a bit. And I think there's a lot of people here who experience that, who know about that, have discovered that, and it's a real gift that everyone sort of relates to that side of it. We're not just making spoons. But I have been looking forward to this because I know it's 3 uninterrupted days of just doing something I love, that is a time out from the ordinary life. So yeah, I'm continually learning, continually having little breakthroughs. So yeah, it's brilliant.
Podcasting around the world. It's all about getting out and having much more fun.
This is the Outdoor Station.
There were a variety of instructors from different countries, each with their own range of skills, knowledge and life experience. Each unique, with a diverse, eclectic history, some who found the craft and others where the craft found them. The learning and sharing was infectious, but nothing was forced. One could sit and carve alongside others as they axed out blanks, absorbing the knowledge contained within the free conversations as they ebbed and flowed around them.
I'm Anna Castley, I'm a professional spoon carver and I live in Gloucestershire.
So, are you a full-time spoon carver?
I am indeed, for my pains.
And is that a fairly unique prospect for somebody your age?
There's not that many people about. I do a very small amount of teaching, but the majority of my living is from selling spoons. My parents are potters, and my grandfather was a carpenter. And like a lot of people who grow up in a crafty background, family friend once described it as being a victim of craft, because you kind of know, you spend your Saturdays going to craft markets and shows, and you're very aware of how hard it is to make a living from it. Yes, I knew this, and then I obviously rebelled and refused to be a craft person on any level.
And then Wood found you?
At the age of 28, I sort of checkmated myself and made myself become a spoon carver. But I kind of knew it for the previous years. My granddad used to carve spoons and live from his carving, so I knew it was going to happen, but I was in a bit of denial. But I also knew that by the time I was 30, I had the grand idea, this was in my early 20s, that by the time I was 30, I will be a successfully self-employed businesswoman.
Right, okay. So did you just manage it in time?
I think so. I think it's getting there. It's not too bad at the moment.
So what are you doing at the moment?
I'm chopping out about 20 spoon blanks for what I need to be doing in the workshop next week. I work behind my dad's pottery in a little scrap of woodland in the summer because I get too hot inside. Underneath a tarp, so you've got a nice even light.
Could you describe the characteristics of the people that come to the courses and what they get from learning to carve spoons?
I believe in doing as much work as possible with the axe and using the axe to design the spoon. Axes are superb tools for getting shape and form easily. And I think if you can do the work with an axe, you have a far more fluid and functional shape. Things can look a bit stunted if you don't do enough axe work. So it kind of allows you to get that fluidity and energy into a piece without trying to go back and rework something that wasn't axed out very well. And also it's just fun, let's be honest. Playing with axes is really good fun.
What about the people that come on your courses? Could you generalise the type of people?
I don't...
And
do
many people appreciate being taught by a young lady? Forgive me.
I think people... Let's say if they want to book a course with a woman, then that doesn't bother them. You see what I mean? If they've already booked the course, that's not a problem. I like to think that people can see, oh yes, she knows what she's doing, and that I'm a woman that's got nothing to do with it. I like to think I'm dainty with the axe, and I kind of use it as an item to carve with, rather than just to, chop out the basics.
Well, you're certainly making a very good job of that in a very short period of time.
It's for Christmas. That bag of blanks is for Christmas. That bag is, what I'm going to be finishing off this week.
And do you enjoy the life that the crafts have led you to? Or is it tough?
It's not easy, and it is utterly ridiculous, but I do enjoy it. I don't have to work in an office. If it's too hot, I just get up early and work until I feel like I'm going to melt. I've got an excuse to walk through the woods and nose at lots of different trees. It's brilliant. And it's, I get to make spoons that people use to make food for people they love. And I feel that's really beautiful. And there's something about knowing that the spoon you make will be somebody's favourite spoon. And they grab it first every time they make something. And that's beautiful. We all put a lot of love into our food. And I feel it's quite nice to be part of that. And there's something brilliant about kind of... I do a lot of street selling in Oxford. And there's something really beautiful about kind of this, standing there on the high street, using an axe well, in front of hundreds of people, 1,000 people walk past you every day, and then, if they're interested, they come up to you. I like the fact that I can sell my spoons to the public. I'm not relying on having a name. I can be ambiguous and yet still sell them, and know that they'll love them and use them. So they're buying the product because they like it rather than for any other reason. And like chopping out spoon blanks in front of kids and they go, it's amazing! All bigger kids, and then having quite random conversations with old lads that work on the, who've retired but used to work on the estate and used to lay how many, miles of hedge every year and make how many hurdles. And they come up and they make a beeline for me and we start talking about axes and tools. Or I always have tree surgeons coming up and chatting to me because they've obviously been dragged around town by their missus and go, look, there's some tree. And I know, I enjoy it. And it is blooming hard work, but, it's quite nice not to be in the workshop all day. And actually meet the people who buy it.
If you've listened this far, then I bet I know what you're thinking. You're finding this subject of interest on some level, but I'm sure you'll have various excuses not to take this hobby further. Maybe you think this is a young person's game with perfect eyesight and endless energy. Well, then listen to this and maybe think again.
Well, I'm Jeanette Marsh and I live in Kent, and I've done most of my woodwork at the Chiltern Open Air Museum in Buckinghamshire, where I demonstrated Windsor chair making for 18 years and ran a little team that used the pole lathe, showed the visitors how to use the pole lathe.
You've been to Spoonfest before, I understand?
Yeah, I came last year. I have improved a lot this year, and at last I've sort of understood it. I've found Owen's class very good with knife technique. He was really good teacher, and also went to Sue's class for making the axe do the most work. That was...
Well, I hope you don't mind me saying, but I think you're probably you're the oldest resident here.
Yes, I'm 88.
And is it a new hobby to you in the last year or so?
I turned to spoon making because I could no longer do the heavy stuff. I can't do the treadle, I can't do the pole lathe anymore. Okay. So I turned to it as a thing I could do sitting down.
Excellent. And you're getting a lot of pleasure from it?
Oh, immense, yes, because Sheila has a woodland, and so I can sit in there and do my little bits of work,
Okay. So you're spoilt for choice for wood, obviously.
Well, no, she's a bit mean. She won't cut down her trees for me. She said, well, I cut down the tree and you use about 12 inches of it. What do I do with the rest of it?
There's an awful lot of spoons in a tree, isn't there?
Yes, I know. Well, as I say, I'm not really a good worker, but I love the atmosphere. One of my favourite sounds is an axe on wood. I think it's the most beautiful sound out there. Anybody working with wood makes a lovely sound. There's nothing ugly in it.
And have you been comfortable here? Are you staying somewhere comfortable?
Well, we're staying in a self-catering converted barn. And yes, I suppose on the whole it is comfortable. Yes, yeah.
Better than using a tent outside, I'm sure.
Oh, goodness, yes. No camping, thank you. Even in my heyday, I never camped.
As you will have gathered from those you've heard from so far, it is a craft which offers many benefits. However, like any hobby, there are those who wish to challenge themselves to improve and see if they can achieve their target. How Joseph manages to keep on track, making a spoon a day for a year, beats me. However, the display was impressive, and the subtle improvements made you realise that practice does indeed make perfect.
My name's Joseph Blore and I live in London.
Joseph, there's a large range of spoons in front of me here. Can you tell me a little bit more how you started carving yourself?
Yeah, so I carved my first spoon in 2006. That was actually a combination of sort of two chance factors, I guess. One, I worked on a straw bale building up in Yorkshire, and they use hazel staves to pin the bales together. And the other was I was at a small festival in Kent, and there was a pole lathe turner who had a selection of spoons, and I asked him how he made them, and he said, oh, you just use knives. And those sort of two things, I took an offcut of one of the hazel staves home, split it with a kitchen knife, and just using an Opinel made the first one. So the collection that you see here is from a spoon a day, which has been almost a year's work. Started on August the 26th last year.
And what inspired you to actually start doing a spoon a day? Because that's quite a commitment of time and love, really.
So the previous year, Keith Matthews, after the first Spoonfest, had taken on this, or appointed himself this challenge. I mean, the main intention was to develop my skills using a knife, so that I was happy with the finish that I got, because sanding and polishing takes a large amount of time, and the sort of very, I would say, traditional craftsman, it's a sort of step up in terms of skill to be able to do that just with the edge tools.
Okay, so how many actual spoons do we have in front of us here?
So we have 300, and 30-something.
In your own words, what's the difference now between the first one and your 330-something?
I think there's a huge difference, not just in the sort of quality of the finish, but also in the form. I think they have become more of a focus on balance and shape. When I started carving, it was very much a sort of process of very gradual excavation. So you might do, 1,000, maybe even 2,000 cuts to make one spoon, and you're taking off very sort of small shavings and just gradually sort of excavating into the wood. Now there's definitely a lot more sort of conscious intent, where you know what the knife can do, what you can do with it, and I mean, so there's definitely a lot that I have absorbed from doing this, which does make it quicker, but I think then you go to the level where you're spending the time, and if it's an hour for a spoon, you're then you're getting to the form a lot quicker, so then it can be a lot more refined in the sort of last sort of stages of the making.
You must have grown in yourself, knowing not only the confidence with the tools, but also as a craftsman.
Yes, no, absolutely. And looking back at it, I mean, it's difficult to sort of remember, how you started in terms of this project. You're sort of learning from having done the one the day before and the ones the day before and the day before, rather than where you're sort of in a more sort of formal setting where somebody is sort of specifically teaching you. So it's sort of learning more from yourself and the wood than being taught. But actually, what you have to do if you want to get really good is just keep on making them, and testing yourself, developing your skills, and there isn't a shortcut to getting that experience.
The organisers, Barnaby Carder and Robin Wood, created a great atmosphere, a lot of which I'm sure is due to their bubbly characters and terribly infectious laughter. No matter where you were on the site, you could hear one or the other laughing throughout the day, and you just couldn't resist joining in. They make a great double act, as you'll hear when I ask them where the name for the event Spoonfest actually came from.
I can't really remember.
I came up with it.
See, this is the problem now. Can you turn around and sit that way? Tell me the rock and roll story. That's a good story.
Well, the name came about because I was carving a spoon on a stage at a festival, and some very beautiful women came up to me afterwards and said, "Oh my God, you're perfect. We need you as guest of honour. We're having a festival called Spoonfest, which is going to be a music festival where they're going to try and break the world record for the number of people spooning." And then it didn't happen. Which was a sad thing. And Robin, the spoon genius, had got Fritjof Runhal over from Sweden, who's an amazing spoon carver, and was running a course up here where he lives in Edale. And we just started talking about the fact that we should have some kind of spoon event.
I remember that course with Fritjof. We had all of the best spoon carvers in the country, really, didn't we, on that course, and we all just had a blast, just sharing and learning from each other, learning from Fritjof together. All of us have been teachers, and we were suddenly students again, and it was just great. And we thought we should do this more and open it up to more people, and we kind of thought that maybe might be 30 or 40 people might want to do it.
We thought it'd be good for spoons, but also partly we just thought we could just get more people together so we could learn more.
Yeah. And so, how many people did you get the first year then?
The first year
it did pretty well.
Yeah, it was just short of 200 the first year.
Well, we sold out, but we were worried that we wouldn't all fit in the field, and then we realised we could have more the next year.
Yeah.
So,
and we had 11 countries the first year. 200 people from 11 countries the first year.
And this year, this third year now, what have you got?
They've come in from all over.
Czech Republic, America, Canada, Australia, Sweden, Holland, France, Germany, Austria.
Norway, Australia. We've got one come from Australia. We've got a museum curator
Poland.
come from Italy. Yeah.
Why are people, building their relationships with making spoons? What's behind it all, do you think?
Oh, I think it works on so many different levels. That's the thing with spoons. So, for starters, there's the link to wood. Everyone loves wood as a material. We're using axes and knives to do the carving, so it's quite a specific style. And people really connect with that style of woodwork. So spoons are just a great vehicle for that, and you're making something that's beautiful and functional. Everyone has got a wooden spoon already, so and people bond with wooden spoons anyway, just because they use it every day. So it's incredible the number of people that I've taught that seem to just get really hooked on it.
Yeah.
It's not the kind of thing someone tries and puts down, really.
I think there's a couple of things. I think there's the real strong desire to make stuff. I think that so many people live such digital lives these days that in our workplaces and having something very, very simple like carving from a raw material to a finished product is kind of really, really important and really nice. And it also fits in really well with our modern lives, because you can, if you compare it to the sort of woodwork a lot of people have done in the past, bench joinery, for instance, then, they have to have a garage full of tools, full of noisy tools that cost a lot of money and make a lot of dust.
It's just so much more accessible.
Yeah.
But because of that simplicity, people can start. But it's extremely challenging, and there's a long distance you can travel with it, so people don't stop.
Well, certainly as a novice, I'm finding it quite a challenge, and very envious of watching you guys within half an hour produce something which is beautifully balanced and elegant, and I'm still struggling to get the basics correct. But I was quite impressed by the diverse range of people here, the age range, the background, and also, there's a fair balance between male-female, isn't there?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, everyone loves it. Everyone comes from a wood culture, people, like Robin was saying, people love making things. So we want it to become more diverse. I think that's one of the things that we're aiming to do. So.
Well, you two are separated by quite a few miles. Obviously, you're based here in Edale, Robin, and obviously, as you were saying earlier on, you've got a place down in London, a shop down in London. And how does that fare, having a small shop in London that just sells wooden spoons? It's quite an interesting, retail concept.
Yeah, it's great. It can be difficult sometimes, because people are more used to driving to a supermarket. But, somewhere in London, you've got a lot of people there. And they're used to novel ideas, so it's done me really well. It's a tiny shop. I've had to keep my costs low, but it's like a living billboard. They Google the name, says Barn the Spoon at the top, and they Google that and they find me, and there's a little video about it online. And
And what are people buying? Are they boing spoons for gifts, or is it a novelty item? What's their relationship to spoons?
They're doing everything, they're doing everything. So a lot of people come because they've heard about me. A lot of people come in and they'll be like, do you know what, I've gone past every single day for 6 months on my way to work, and I've come to get a spoon. I want a cooking spoon. Or people that move to the area, we need a cooking spoon. Or gifts. People come in, they ask to have some letters carved on. Or I had a couple come in after a few drinks on their first date, buying each other spoons,
nice.
Which is a nice end to the day. And I do, I can't remember what the anniversary is for wood, but you do get fifth, we get people coming in like that, and Christmas presents. But generally people just come and say they want a spoon.
I think the kind of people who want to give a really nice 5th wedding anniversary gift, they go for a bowl.
Nice.
Everybody's on a budget.
I might have some bowls in my shop by Christmas.
So what about yourself then, Robin? You're based up here in Edale. I understand you run courses and that sort of thing?
I run not too many. I think, for me, when I started green woodworking, then nearly everyone who was doing it professionally was making a living doing courses. And I wanted to, as Barn's doing with the spoons now, I wanted to make a living from actually making stuff and selling it, because to me that is what craft is about. And and that's still very important to me. I want to spend, I don't know, at least 80% of my time making stuff for sale, and that's what defines a craftsman to me.
It's so important to teach, because the thing is, when you're really passionate about what you do, you want to do it extremely well, so you need to dedicate time to do that, and you need to be disciplined, and that's where, Robin's saying spending 80% of your time making. But for example, we've both kind of worked with apprentices or assistants, and you can live out ideas through them, and they can facilitate you so you can learn more and generate more understanding. And also just teaching beginners, for me, in terms of selling as well, every time I teach a beginner, my spoons suddenly multiply by 10 in value to them, because they realise that although they can make a spoon, that to make one like that is actually extremely difficult. And they realise how scarce and rare those skills are.
And is that a common thing that you find all the time, that people like myself are sort of reflecting that actually, as you say, we live in a digital world, and there's more people realising we're losing these basic skills?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're used to pictures and music, which, you're doing radio right now. So you can listen to a song on YouTube that's brand new, and you could probably hum something similar to it, and you kind of, that's how you can engage with that. But people just don't engage with 3D at all. Craft has been really de-skilled. And I get a lot of people saying, oh, do you do workshops? And they always just assume that it'd just be some little thing that you just do with kids for half an hour, and it's just like a little taster, and hopefully my kid will come on, be a lawyer or a doctor, and isn't it great that a child can experience craft for half an hour? And I just think it's really nice to show people that actually it's something you can run with, and that's why it's such a beautiful form of woodwork, because it is something that people can do at home. You only need a few tools. And
the level, I think that people have no idea the level that you can get to, and people who've been coming on these courses and been to Spoonfest and been inspired and then gone away and put the hours in, because that's the only way to get better. You've got to learn the basics, but then you've got to put the hours in, and you've got to be continually critiquing your own work and pushing to get better.
We call it wood culture renaissance, just like Robin was saying. It's just been reborn, it's only just started. This stuff is ancient, it's been with us forever. We dropped it, and now we've picked it up again, and it is exploding. It's really just getting out there.
What you're seeing here is the tip of an iceberg. There's we've got 230 people having a blast, and some people think, wow, that's amazing that's going on, but this is only just the start. I think it's going to go really big, and not just spoons. All sorts of crafts. There's a real yearning. It's fulfilling a need in modern people's lives.
It's a way to engage in 3D. I think that's a really special thing that people forget about, And you wouldn't think twice about a music festival just with one type of instrument, people playing 1,000 different songs, and that's what we're doing. And spoons is a vehicle for that, in wood with axes and knives.
Nice.
Nice indeed. Thanks to everyone who contributed to this podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. And of course, if you have any feedback, comments or questions, please email me at info@theoutdoorstation.co.uk. Where possible, I've added all the relevant links, images and so on to the Outdoor Station website page. And so if you're interested on going on a course with Robin in Edale, Anna in Gloucestershire or Barn the Spoon in London, you'll find links there. Remember, the tools you need for this are very simple. Just an axe, a carving knife and a spoon knife. Everything else is just practice. Oh, and lots of practice. Of course, there will be another Spoonfest next year and many years to come, I'm sure. So keep revisiting the Spoonfest website until dates are released. Until next time, folks, I'm Bob Cartwright. You've been listening to The Outdoor Station, and remember, what you get when you don't get what you want is experience. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. To hear more from our extensive free library, please visit the website at theoutdoorstation.co.uk.
You can now follow The Outdoor Station on Facebook, where we chat about each programme we produce, answer questions and discuss future productions. Why not join us there?
This podcast is produced and hosted by theoutdoorstation.co.uk.